Sri Karti Chidambaram.
Sir, the Indian rupee against the US dollar today is at 84 rupees 73 paisa, and the growth rate in this last quarter is 5.4%, the lowest in 7 quarters. And inflation is at 6.21%. Whenever inflation is greater than economic growth, and if that continues, it will lead to stagflation. In this backdrop, this government has brought about the Banking Laws Amendment Bill. The Prime Minister, when he was parroting the slogan, what is it called? 400 Par, he held a cabinet meeting in March where he said when he comes back to power, he will have a 100-day agenda where they will bring about majestic reforms. I'm sorry to say, sir, if these are the reforms which the government talks about, this is hardly majestic. This is merely tinkering on the margins and are innocuous changes which they have brought about. I will talk about 1 or 2 changes they have brought about and what they have missed out in this bill. They have said now that you can nominate people successively or simultaneously for bank lockers and for deposits. I hope they clarify the rules clearly. If there is a certain amount of jewelry in a bank deposit, and they say simultaneously it will be given to many people, they must specify, the person who is opening the locker must clearly specify which jewel will go to which person. Otherwise, what will happen is, if there is no clarity, the bank will say there is no clarity and will confiscate or not give the jewelry to anybody. It will lead to lots of confusion. And in successive nomination, what will happen is, if A nominates B, and after B it is X, Y, and Z, for some reason A passes away, and then B also passes away, it is very likely the bank will ask Mr. X to bring the death certificate of B and Mr. A. He might not even know B. So there can be lots of administrative confusion in these successive and simultaneous nominations, and the government and hopefully the minister will clarify the procedure in which successive and simultaneous nominations will be done. The other point is that, sir, they said unclaimed dividends will be sent to the Investor Education Protection Fund. Sir, the minister must clarify how much fund is already existing in the Investor Education Protection Fund and what is that fund doing to educate people about dubious public issues which are still coming up today and about the financial fraud which is happening in the banking sector. There is no point in creating a fund and adding more and more money to it if you do not know what that fund is doing and how the funds in that corpus is being spent, sir. Sir, most importantly, this bill has missed out on many things. They could have brought about some monumental change in ease of doing business. Sir, as you know, there is so much cyber fraud happening. What is the government doing to stop cyber fraud? The government must bring about a clear policy to stop cyber fraud. Sir, the tyranny of KYC is happening. I'm sure, sir, you also have a bank account which is linked to some phone number. I'm sure they are calling you all the time and asking you to update KYC. I think we should stop this tyranny of KYC. When there is nothing changed, your name is not changed, your parents' name has not changed, your address is not changed, nothing has changed, but the bank is calling you millions of times in a year, asking you to update your KYC, and it's a serious harassment. Because they're outsourcing the KYC process to some third-party agency, and that agency has to make these calls to harass you. The government must bring in order to make life easier for the customer, they must simplify and mandate that if there is no change, there is no reason to update your KYC multiple times in a year. Sir, another thing, sir. Like Chitragupta makes accounts of all our activities in this world to Yamadharma, there is this agency called Cibil, which is making a record of all our transactions. If you want to take a car loan, if the finance minister of this country wants to take a house loan, everything depends on the Cibil score. But nobody knows how this Cibil organization works. It's actually a private company. It's a company called TransUnion. This is the company which is rating every one of us our credit based on our credit history. But we do not know whether they are updating our credit history properly. There is no transparency. There is no way for us to appeal. There is a complete asymmetry between the company which is rating us and us. There is no redressal at all, sir. Every time we go tell a bank, I have paid my loan on time, but they will say, no, your Cibil score is bad. When we say we do not know how to approach Cibil. It's fair, for farmers, while they get a subsidy from the government, when they use the subsidy to repay the loan, Cibil does not update it. If you go for a settlement with an ARC, Cibil does not update it. So there must be greater transparency. The government has missed out an opportunity to make life easier by reforming these things instead of just tinkering in the margins. Sir, this government has been a government which has been very pro-corporate. I will give you list out a list of companies, sir.
Please.
Karaikal Port Private Limited.
Please.
Korba West Power, SR Power MP, Radius Estates and Developer, Digi Port, Aditya Estates. These are all distressed sale of assets which went to a corporate, sir. Instead of focusing on corporates, this government should focus on writing off the student loans, which is only 90,000 crores. They could have easily written off the student loans instead of giving haircuts to corporates and being pro-corporate. Sir, this bill is nothing majestic. It's an innocuous bill. It does nothing to make life easier. It is completely anti-consumer and anti-middle class. This bill must be withdrawn and a reformist bill must be brought forward. Thank you very much, sir.